I'd given so much thought and so much energy, actually, and focused so hard on reducing the negatives. It was like a light bulb when I said, oh, but what about actually, focusing on increasing the number of positives in your life, whether that's positive thoughts or positive things, whether it's exercise or music or whatever. It just for me, it was, how did I not think of that? It's so obvious. How did I not think about that? And within days, found my mind thinking about, God, what are the things I do that make me feel really good and really excited? Immediately, my mind went to the river, because that's, I've always had this fascination with water anyway. I can't explain it, but it just does something very, very special for me. Eventually, I'll get here once a week, often enough that it becomes the new habit, is just to do it. I think that's the most challenging time, between having the information and getting to the point where you've actually put that information in place. So it's like you need to be in the mood to take the action, but it's the other way around. Take the action and the motivation comes from it.
Building positives is not about faking happiness. You're not trying to fool yourself into feeling good. Rather, you're just paying attention to the good things that are already in your life.
Stan did two interesting things. First, he changed his lifelong habit of focusing on the negative by learning to train his attention like a laser beam onto the pleasures of his life, the good things that were already there. He made happiness his new habit of the heart. But learning to retrain your attention is quite difficult and needs practice. And one of the most effective practices is meditation. Breathe in all over your body, right down into your abdomen.
A recent study undertaken by Harvard University neuroscientist Sarah Lazar has shown that with regular practice, meditation can change the structure of the brain so that you find it easier to experience more positive emotions.
We decided to do a study where we recruited people who had little or no previous yoga or meditation experience, and we scanned them, and we showed that in just 8 weeks we could actually see changes in their brain structure from the practice of yoga and meditation. So we're born with all the neurons we're going to have, except in the hippocampus. The hippocampus, there's actually new neurons growing throughout our entire life. So the hippocampus is important for depression and PTSD and Alzheimer's disease. It's actually physically smaller in people with these diseases. The hippocampus, it's sensitive to the stress hormone cortisol. Cortisol actually gets into the brain and kills these neurons in the hippocampus. The idea is that if we can reduce our stress by meditating, then we reduce the amount of cortisol, and so then there should be less killing off of those neurons and more regrowth of them.
Right.
Another change we found was a decrease in the amygdala, and that's this shown here. So the amygdala is the part of the brain responsible for the fight or flight response. And so if you're walking in the woods and suddenly out of the corner of your eye you see a snake and you jump, that's your amygdala responding. And what we saw was that the change in the amygdala correlated with the change in stress, such that the smaller the amygdala became, the more stress reduction people reported. So nothing about their environment has changed in our studies, right? The people still have their jobs, their stressful jobs. All the difficult people in their lives are still being difficult. Nothing about their environment has changed, but their relationship to the stress has changed.
Yes.
And this is what the amygdala is reflecting.
So they're just coping better. They're seeing the stresses in their lives differently and coping.
Yes.
And that's reflected in the
brain.
structure of their brains.
Yes.